Okay, the king has just died. The revenge is complete. Okay, unfortunately, excuse me. Unfortunately for Hamlet, executing this revenge is also going to result in his own death and his mother's death. Right, the body count just keeps climbing here. But this was the moment we'd been waiting all along for, and certainly we'll be talking in class about what is it that finally allows Hamlet to execute this revenge. Is it his newfound fatalism? Is it his own recognition that he was about to die? Is it seeing his mother die? Whatever it is, he finally was prompted enough to finally execute the revenge. Okay, so the king died, the queens died, Laertes and Hamlet are still alive, and they have a really touching moment of reconciliation here. Laertes says, the king, is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself. He's the one who made it. So, and look at this. Wow, folks. Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon thee, nor thine on me. Right? He's asking, Hamlet, I know I'm going to die. Can we agree to forgive each other? I'm not going to hold against you my death or my father's death, nor do I want you to hold your death on me, right? And then Laertes, those are his dying words. So Hamlet, as Laertes dies, says, heaven make thee free of it, heaven forgive you of this, and I will follow you, right? I am dead, Horatio, wretched queen, adieu, right? So there are, Hamlet then begins to recognize, usually this is staged by Hamlet now collapsing onto the ground because he's recognizing that there just is not much time left. He says, if I had time, but this fell sergeant death is strict in his arrest, right? When death comes for you, it's going to come for you quickly, right? And then he says, oh, I could tell you, right? I could tell you, but let it be. Right? Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest, report me and my cause aright to the unsatisfied. That's an interesting, so look at what Hamlet is asking Horatio to do. He's saying, please, tell my story, okay? And of course, with Horatio, if you look at his name and you drop the H, right? You have orator, Horatio. Right? This is the guy who is the storyteller, the one who's going to say things, who's going to tell the story. Okay? So that's what Hamlet asked Horatio to do for him. Horatio objects and says, no, I'm not going to do that for you. I'm more an antique Roman than a Dane. Here's yet some liquor left. What he's saying is, I'm going to act like a Roman and commit suicide, right? I'm going to do the noble thing. My lord is dead. You, Hamlet, my friend, and my master are dead, and so I'm gonna go with you. Okay, Hamlet. One of his last actions here is to knock the cup away from Horatio and say, "I'm not gonna let you kill yourself." Right. Hamlet here acknowledges what a wounded name, right? Horatio. We've already seen some of the levels of meaning in Horatio's name, and he says to him, if thou didst ever hold me in thy heart, absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain, to tell my story. Again, the injunction. This is another point of kind of self-reference, too, right? We are watching a play, a form of storytelling, and Hamlet is here as he dies, telling his best friend to go on and tell the story of me, right? Well, I mean, we've just been watching Hamlet's story for the last, nearly 4 hours. Okay, so now we hear a march in the distance. It turns. Osric tells us it's young Fortinbras. He's coming over here, right? And Hamlet now goes to his death, right? The potent poison quite overcrows my spirit. I cannot live to hear the news from England, but I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice. So Some stagings of Hamlet actually leave out the arrival of Fortinbras, but it's important for the state of Denmark. I mean, we have to acknowledge that when we're dealing with tragedies of royalty, the tragedy has consequence not merely for the family, but also for the entire state. Okay, so as far as Shakespeare's concerned and his audience, the story's not done until whatever is rotten in the state of Denmark has been resolved. Okay, and it's been resolved in Hamlet's family now, but it's not resolved for Denmark. All right, so now Hamlet says in his dying breath, the rest is silence, right? And there's a beautiful double meaning there too. The rest as in the rest that's going to happen is going to be silence, and the rest as in my rest, which is my sleep, which is my death, right? That's going to be silence. So there's nothing, what's left for me in the afterlife is silence, okay? Horatio sees Hamlet die in his arms and says, now cracks a noble heart. I hope you've noticed, and I've been trying to emphasize that use of the word noble as attached to Hamlet. Remember Ophelia says, what a noble mind is here overthrown. Now we're hearing, now cracks a noble heart. Laertes just a moment ago called him noble Hamlet. There is a clear recognition by everybody with a moral compass in the play that Hamlet was a noble figure, okay? Which is, of course, important for eliciting the proper effects of tragedy, all right? Fortinbras comes in with the ambassadors, and he asks, what is going on here, right? So, the ambassadors from England come and they state that the commandment is fulfilled. They believe this was Claudius's commandment, right? But of course it was Hamlet, and that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. And of course that's where Tom Stoppard took the title for his play. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Okay. All right, so Horatio now goes on with his first telling of Hamlet's story, right? Hamlet gave him the injunction, tell my story, and now Horatio is going to start telling the story, okay? He says, let me speak to yet the unknowing world how these things came about. There were carnal, bloody, and unnatural acts, accidental judgments, casual slaughters, and death put upon by cunning and forced cause. And in the upshot, purposes mistook, fallen on the inventors' heads. All this I can truly deliver. Now notice there's a lot packed in there. I mean, this is basically a summary of the play we just watched, right? Full of the unnatural acts, the disorder of the universe, the accidental judgments, the purposes mistook. Those are all hamartias, right? Errors due to ignorance. And Horatio is the one who is truly in the position to be able to give this story. Okay? All right. And Fortinbras says, well, let's rush to hear it, right? And we'll call everybody to be able to hear it, all the noblest people. Okay? So the Fortinbras gets the closing lines of the play, right? And he says, let 4 captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage. Okay, so Hamlet is going to get a soldier's burial, right? Not a burial of a traitor or a disgraced burial, which is likely would have happened if he had been, found out as plotting against the king. But here he's going to be remembered as a hero, as a soldier. And Fortinbras acknowledges if Hamlet had ever been elected king, he would have proved most royal. Okay, and so for Hamlet's passage, there's going to be soldiers' music and the rite of war speak loudly for him. Okay? Take up the bodies. Such a sight as this becomes the battlefield, but here shows much amiss. Right? So what he's basically saying is, all these bodies strewn around here, this is a battlefield scene, and that would look normal on a battlefield. But here it shows just how amiss things are. And then finally, Fortinbras says, go bid the soldiers shoot, right? And so with that instruction, Hamlet's body is carried off as get to a soldier's burial, a hero's burial. Wow, that last scene is just so packed and so chaotic at times. I really encourage you, certainly we've done the reading here and the close reading, but I really encourage you, of all the parts of Hamlet that you need to watch, there are two that I would most recommend watching. One of them is the scene when Hamlet comes upon Claudius praying in Act 3 and then goes to Gertrude's chamber. That's an indispensable scene. And then this final one, Scene 2 of Act 5, just because, you know, in order for us to imagine it fully, we really need to see the ways in which it's staged. Okay, so thank you for participating in this. It's been over 40 screencasts on Hamlet. I hope it's been a joy for you. Please like or favorite the videos, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.